Hello and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you the stories that matter from across the world. Shining a light on the biggest issues and controversies, I'm Kerry Johnston, live from the Firstpost studios. But first, a look at the day's headlines. The US and Iran begin a fresh round of nuclear talks in Geneva, aiming to avoid a potential military confrontation. Earlier, US President Donald Trump warned Tehran of consequences if it fails to reach a deal. Nigeria announces deployment of around 100 American soldiers as part of its increased military cooperation to fight insurgents in the West African nation. India says it's discussing age-based restrictions with social media companies following Australia's move to ban children and teenagers below the age of 16 from such online platforms. 14 former cricket captains, including India's Kapil Dev, Australia's Alan Border and England's Nasser Hussain, write to the Pakistani government demanding immediate medical attention for jailed former cricketer turned politician Imran Khan. And UK unemployment rises to a 5-year high of 5.2% in the final quarter of 2025, the highest level since January 2021. We begin with a defining moment in Bangladesh's political landscape. A short while ago, newly elected Prime Minister Tarique Rahman was sworn into office along with his cabinet. The inauguration ceremony held in Dhaka was attended by representatives from several countries, underlining the regional and international interest surrounding this transition. India was represented by Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla instead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Along with the Prime Minister, 25 cabinet ministers and 24 junior ministers also took the oath of office. Rahman now leads a nation of more than 175 million people, ending months of political uncertainty since the ousting of ex-Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in August 2024. Tarique Rahman is the son of former President Zia-ur-Rahman and former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia. His inauguration comes days after the voters handed the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, or BNP, a sweeping election victory. Bangladeshis also voted in favour of what Dhaka calls the July Charter, promising constitutional reforms, including term limits for the Prime Minister and safeguards against one-party dominance in the future. Earlier in the day, all of the 299 newly elected members of Parliament took their oath of office. However, some BNP lawmakers declined to take an additional oath towards implementing the Reform Charter. Because of this, the opposition, led by Jamaat-e-Islami, had earlier threatened to boycott the ceremony. Well, now, the BNP, its allies and the opposition have formally constituted the 13th Parliament of the country. Well, this will define Bangladesh's policy direction for the next 5 years. The scale of the victory is significant, not only domestically but regionally. Bangladesh sits at the crossroads of South and Southeast Asia, sharing borders with India and Myanmar, and it plays a critical role in Bay of Bengal security, global garment supply chains and regional connectivity. Prime Minister Rahman's journey to this moment has drawn international attention, given that he spent 17 years outside the country in self-imposed exile until December 2025. Well, yesterday evening, interim leader Muhammad Yunus, who took charge following Sheikh Hasina's ousting, resigned from his position, paving the way for today's democratic transition.
Dear fellow citizens, after faithfully carrying out the responsibilities entrusted to me over the past 18 months, I stand before you today, on the eve of handing over authority to an elected government, to bid you farewell as the chief advisor of the interim government.
Well, the new administration has promised to fix the economy following months of political turmoil. But the global economy is facing slow growth. Prices are rising and currencies are fluctuating. These pressures have hit many developing countries. Bangladesh, which depends heavily on exports, has also felt the strain. The government has spoken of seeking more pragmatic relations with its neighbours, including India. The presence of multiple foreign representatives at the swearing-in ceremony underlines that Bangladesh's political future matters beyond its borders. So the scene in Dhaka is one of celebration, anticipation and intense international interest, because the decisions made by this new government will influence not only Bangladesh's domestic stability, but also the broader regional picture. Well, for more on this, we have with us Rahman, editor of the Counterpoint Weekly, joining us live from Dhaka. Welcome to the programme. Let me ask you first, if I may then, how difficult are the challenges that lie ahead for this new government?
Thank you for having me. Make no mistake, this BNP government led by Tarique Rahman is entering office at a difficult time. Many of the problems which the interim government inherited when they took over in August 2024 after the ouster of Sheikh Hasina remain. Many things have improved, but it will be challenging. Bangladesh still has a bit of a banking crisis because we have a lot of non-performing loans which were bequeathed to us, you could say, by the outgoing Awami League government. The Bangladesh Bank Governor Ahsan Manzoor has done a very good job of bringing stability to the economy. Inflation has been brought under control. The currency is no longer depreciating. Our foreign exchange reserves are much healthier than they were when the interim government took over. But there are certainly challenges remaining, so it's not going to be easy.
And what about the July Charter that we mentioned earlier and the constitutional reforms that it's meant to create? How significant an issue is that still?
Well, I think it is an issue in that there's going to be a lot of going back and forth in terms of what elements within the charter and what elements within the referendum, which Bangladesh voted to implement as the mechanism to implement the charter, are going to be put in place by the BNP. My feeling is that the vast majority of the terms in the July Charter are acceptable and agreeable to the BNP, and so they will not provide much of an obstacle there. There are one or two issues which I think will be taken up by the incoming parliament. Specifically, I suspect the issue of the upper house and whether it will be constituted on the basis of proportional representation, which has indeed been a part of the referendum, but has always been something which the BNP itself has never been in favor of. That will be a challenge, but my sense is that, once we've started the process, we're going to have a elected government in place, we have an elected parliament in place. We're going to start these discussions, and I'm confident that through the process of discussion and negotiation, we will be able to muddle through to a solution which is acceptable to everyone.
Now, French President Emmanuel Macron is in India for a high-profile three-day visit. His trip is aimed at strengthening defence, economic and technology ties between the two countries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed the French leader with a warm hug as the two met at Lok Bhavan in Mumbai, followed by bilateral talks.
Friends, आज दुनिया अनसर्टेनिटी के दौर से गुजर रही है। ऐसे माहौल में इंडिया फ्रांस पार्टनरशिप एक फोर्स फॉर ग्लोबल स्टेबिलिटी है। हम फ्रांस की एक्सपर्टाइज और इंडिया के स्केल को जोड़ रहे हैं।
Well, President Macron, along with First Lady Brigitte Macron, paid a solemn tribute to the victims of the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks. He laid a wreath and observed a moment of silence at the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, one of the main targets of the deadly attacks. Macron also met Bollywood and cultural icons on his ongoing visit. And earlier in the day, Macron surprised early morning walkers in Mumbai by joining them for a jog through the city, accompanied by a close security detail comprising French and Indian officials. In a special gesture to welcome Macron, Mumbai's iconic Bandra Sea Link was illuminated, creating a striking visual tribute to the occasion and highlighting the importance of the trip. Well, this is the French president's fourth visit to India since he took office. Ahead of his arrival, Macron set the tone with a strong message.
On board with me, business leaders, and the economic, industrial, cultural, and digital players who give real, tangible life to the ties between India and France. Together, we will go even further in our cooperation.
The visit comes at a pivotal moment as India and France prepare to sign close to a dozen key agreements and memorandums of understanding. A major highlight of the visit is the proposed multi-billion-dollar deal for the procurement of 114 Rafale fighter jets for the Indian Air Force. This massive acquisition, cleared by the Indian government, will give major boost to India's defence capability. Well, after concluding their engagements in Mumbai, President Macron and Prime Minister Modi will travel to New Delhi to attend the India AI Impact Summit, being held from February 16th to 20th, the first global AI summit hosted in the Global South. They also unveiled India's first helicopter final assembly line in Karnataka. The facility will manufacture the Airbus H125 helicopter, with a majority of the aircraft expected to be manufactured in India. And speaking at the inaugural ceremony of the final assembly line of the helicopters, India's Defence Minister said that the programme investment is expected to generate direct and indirect employment opportunities for India's skilled workers. Other areas of discussions focus on expanding maritime security, artificial intelligence and clean energy. A key event during the visit is a joint inauguration of the India-France Year of Innovation 2026. This initiative will promote joint projects in science, technology, startups, education and cultural exchanges across both countries.
डिफेंस हो या क्लीन एनर्जी, स्पेस हो या इमर्जिंग टेक्नोलॉजीज, हर क्षेत्र में हम अपनी इंडस्ट्री और इनोवेटर्स को कनेक्ट करेंगे। स्टार्टअप्स और एमएसएमईज के बीच मजबूत नेटवर्क बनाएंगे। हमारे स्टूडेंट्स और रिसर्चर्स के आदान प्रदान को और सुगम बनवाएंगे और इसके साथ साथ जॉइंट इनोवेशन के नए सेंटर भी तैयार करेंगे।
Well, President Emmanuel Macron is on his official visit to India until February the 19th. It serves to further deepen the India-France partnership and open new avenues of cooperation between the two nations. From suicide bombings to explosions to fierce gunfights, Pakistan was rocked by a series of deadly attacks in a single day. The northwest region was left reeling after relentless violence. At least 17 people lost their lives and more than 25 people were injured. The first attack took place in the tribal district of Bajor in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, when a suicide bomber rammed an explosives-laden vehicle into a wall near a checkpoint.
Militants rammed an explosive-laden vehicle into a wall near a checkpoint in Bajor district, killing 11 security personnel and a girl. The explosion caused severe destruction to nearby residential buildings, leading to the martyrdom of one innocent young girl and injuring 7 others. A cowardly terrorist attack.
Well, the official warned that the death toll could rise. The second strike also unfolded in the same province in the town of Banu. The quiet streets were shattered by a sudden explosion after a remote bomb planted in a rickshaw exploded at the Miran police station. Well, the attack killed 2 civilians and wounded 17 others. The province's governor has strongly condemned the explosion. He expressed deep sorrow over the loss of life and denounced the perpetrators, calling them enemies of humanity. The third attack was reported in the Shangla district of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Police were conducting a search operation when attackers opened fire. A fierce gunfight followed. 3 police personnel and 3 terrorists were killed in the face-off. Police later stated that the perpetrators had been involved in attacks targeting Chinese nationals. China has invested billions of dollars in Pakistan over the past several years. Beijing has stood as Islamabad's closest regional ally, repeatedly extending financial lifelines to its struggling partner. But the growing Chinese footprint has also fueled resentment among some Pakistanis in several parts of the country. Chinese-backed projects have become flashpoints, with their nationals often targeted. In March last year, 5 Chinese nationals were killed. They were working at a major dam construction site when a suicide bomber targeted their vehicle. Well, these attacks come at a time when Pakistan's security forces are battling intensifying insurgencies in provinces bordering Afghanistan. The security situation has remained volatile across both northern and southern regions. Earlier this month, a massive suicide blast struck a Shiite mosque in the capital, Islamabad. At least 31 people were killed and 169 wounded. The Islamic State group had claimed responsibility for the carnage. Well, with attacks intensifying and foreign interests in the crosshairs, Islamabad is facing a critical test of control and resilience. Well, moving on to our final story today, Thailand has introduced a 60-day visa-free stay for Indians. The Thai cabinet has approved major visa reforms to attract more tourists and remote workers. The move is aimed at boosting tourism and making travel easier for Indians. Thailand's new visa reform extends to 93 nationalities, giving Indians an upgrade from a 30-day visa on arrival to a 60-day visa-exempt stay. The new visa-free rule for Indians came into effect on February 13th. Travellers can now also apply for a 30-day extension while staying in Thailand. Indian travel to Thailand has risen sharply after the pandemic. In 2021, COVID restrictions reduced arrivals to about 650,000. By 2024, India became Thailand's third largest tourist market with more than 2.1 million visitors. And last year, Indian arrivals again crossed 2 million, keeping India among Thailand's most popular visiting nationalities. Airlines like Indigo have increased flights between India and Thailand due to high demand. Thailand is also making travel simpler with digital upgrades. It's simplified its visa system for people traveling for work, study or long stays. Earlier, there were 17 different non-immigrant visa categories, but now these have been merged into just 7 to reduce paperwork and make applications easier. The e-visa system is now available at all 94 Thai embassies and consulates worldwide. Since May last year, travellers have been required to fill in the Thailand digital arrival card online instead of paper forms at airports. And Bangkok has also launched a new visa called the Destination Thailand Visa, or DDT. It's a one-year multiple entry visa for digital nomads, freelancers and remote workers. Well, the visa allows stays of up to 180 days in one visit, as long as the income is earned outside Thailand. And the Thai government is also warned about misuse of the longer visa-free stay. Officials have flagged repeated entries and activities that are not allowed under tourist rules. Well, Thailand's visa reforms are part of its efforts to re-energise tourism and support economic recovery after the pandemic. And with international travel picking up and Indians forming an important tourist market, Thailand is making sure that it's not being left behind. That's all we have time for on the show today, but we'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.